Hello, ladies and gents. I am baffled by the recent events. Another ceasefire. I don't know what's happening. I'm not gonna lie. Like, usually I have very open mind. Usually I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe there is some bigger picture, but I don't know what to say to this. And look at this title. Iran just tried to assassinate Trump. Then this happened. Yeah, this is a recent video. This is implying like there was a plot of deleting Trump while he was in Air Force One. I'm guessing this is that about, which was a recent event, like in just last week or something. And this is the time where they're like, you know what, fine, we'll lower the heat so Iran can gather itself and come back again, and we'll hit them again, waste munition, then ceasefire again. Is America trying to delete Iran by 1,000 cuts? Because this is how you do it. You attack them, pause. You attack them, pause. So there is no significant pressure, and Iran doesn't realize that slowly they are degrading. Is that the thing here? Then that would make sense. Because there will be one day Iran will wake up and nothing is left there. Oh, what is our military status? And people like, what? There is no military. Is that what you are trying to do here? Because that's the only thing that makes sense. Deaths by 1,000 cuts. Cut, stop. I don't know. But this is going to be interesting. We'll see the details about what was happening here. I don't know the details about this. I haven't seen a video, but now there's a video apparently. Let's watch this one.
The US leader, me. US President Donald Trump declared after the fact, adding, "I'm on every list. I saw this morning. I'm on every single one of their lists. And so far, I guess I've been a little bit lucky. But that maybe doesn't last very long."
Luck?
What prompted this statement? Iran tried to assassinate Trump. While Trump was in Ankara, Turkey, where he met with NATO leaders, a plot was brewing in the darkest depths of Tehran. This was a chance to destroy Air Force One and take Trump out of the picture. But the US foiled the plot with one smart move. And what came next humiliated Iran, teaching the regime a simple lesson: make stupid choices and win stupid prizes. It all started in Ankara, where Trump flew to take part in a NATO summit that included leaders from all over NATO's member nations. The gathering was supposed to be an opportunity for those leaders to build deeper ties and discuss what needed to be done about growing threats all over the world, including in Russia and the Gulf. But behind the scenes, something strange.
Oh, there you go. Apparently, YouTube logged me out. Otherwise, I have premium. Why would there be an ad?
Something strange happened. Trump had flown into Ankara on the new version of Air Force One, which was gifted to the US by Qatar. That jet was already controversial. Trump has had to bat back accusations that the jet was a gift to him rather than the US. Plus, the jet would take a while to kit out with all the defensive equipment that is on board the previous Air Force One. Additional upgrades and enhancements are due in the fall, says the White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. But they're not in place yet, and that may be the reason why Trump made a strange decision in Ankara. Though Trump flew into Ankara on the Qatari jet, he completed at least part of the return trip home on the older version of Air Force One that the jet is supposed to replace.
Smart.
Trump was nonchalant at the time. When asked why he made the switch, he simply replied that he wanted to fly on the other jet for old time's sake. But Trump was hiding something. The switch was made for a much bigger reason than that.
What do you want him to say? Oh, Iran tried to delete me, so I'm like flying in the older one now? That would cause unrest.
Iran was trying to assassinate Trump. And through its proxies, the Iranian regime thought it had the perfect opportunity to get the American president. That's according to an explosive July 24th report in the New York Times, which says that Trump was forced to abruptly switch planes due to a credible emerging threat. Iranian proxy forces were actively targeting him and the Air Force One. That left the Secret Service with a key decision to make. Would they allow Trump to use the Qatari jet, knowing that it isn't quite maxed out to the point where it could reliably deal with a threat? Or should the Secret Service switch Trump to the older version of Air Force One, which does have all of its defensive measures in place? Secret Service chose the latter option. And just like that, Iran was left with egg on its collective face as its grand assassination plans fell apart. We don't know a huge amount about the assassination plot, which isn't surprising. Iran certainly isn't going to announce precisely how it wants to take Trump out of the picture, and the US is cagey with the details because it doesn't want to reveal too much to Iran about how much it actually knows. However, we do know that the proxy forces that were involved in this assassination attempt weren't targeting the Qatari jet specifically, though that jet gave them an opportunity for a strike. They wanted to hit Trump and whatever aircraft he happened to be traveling in at the time. Beyond that, the White House has said little. No official briefing has been delivered to the press, and the New York Times reveals that even key members of Congress and the administration weren't provided with any information beyond the switch being a precautionary measure.
That's a smart way of saying it. That the people who tried to delete Trump were not smart enough to know that he's flying on a newer plane and there is less defenses. They would have done the same thing with the older plane, just try to take it down.
That turned out to be an understatement. Trump's life was at risk and the Secret Service had to act. One thing that we know for sure is that Iran hasn't been shy about making threats against Trump's life. The country's current supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, posted an interesting statement to X in the wake of the assassination attempt, stating, "We pledge to avenge your pure blood and the blood of all the martyrs of these two recent wars by taking revenge against the criminal, disgraceful murderers."
July 11, that is a recent one, alright.
This vengeance is what our nation is demanding, and this must definitely be done. The younger Khamenei clearly wants revenge for the death of his father.
Why is he still allowed on X or any of the platform? These are the platform that banned Trump for saying certain things. But Iran leader is allowed, other leader, is King Jong-un have an account there? I don't know. This is just weird to me.
Father, Ali Khamenei, during the opening stages of Operation Epic Fury. And if the supreme leader demands it, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps has to make it happen. Trump himself has long claimed to be on the Iranian regime's hit list, as you saw from the quote that opened the video. And Iran has tried something like this before. Back in 2024, a pair of Iran-linked plots against Trump's life were uncovered, Time magazine reports. The first, which came to light in July 2024, involved a Pakistani man named Asif Merchant, who was arrested for a plot to kill several US politicians, with Trump being among them. Later in the year, Fahad Shakari...
You know what's the red flag? In order to do Iran's bidding, a Pakistani guy was involved. This should be a red flag that you shouldn't have Pakistan as your mediator, for obvious reasons.
Who is an Afghan national, was arrested for reportedly being directed by Iran's government to create an assassination plan to take out Trump. Even now, the threats are still coming, and they're not just directed at Trump. On July 28, The Independent reported that Iran has released a concerning video entitled "Where to Kill Melania," which shows the First Lady's motorcade traveling through New York City.
What is that going to do? She's not involved in any governmental thing. This is just going to piss off Trump, and Trump will make it personal at a level that he'll deplete US military if he have to. How does that help Iran?
City and actively tells freedom fighters to attack her. Not even Trump's son, Barron, has escaped the threats, as the video concludes, Barron Trump, wait for us. So if you're wondering how serious the threat posed to Trump in Ankara truly was, there can only be one answer: serious. Iran's regime is making it very clear that killing Trump and his family members is high on the agenda. As for how Iran might have done it, the mention of proxies is very revealing. Iran doesn't want to take out Trump directly. It knows that killing the sitting US president and taking direct responsibility for doing it would bring down a world of hurt and could even lead to the triggering of Article 5, bringing dozens of other nations into the war in the Gulf region. So Iran wants to use proxies.
What Article 5? NATO one? I mean, yeah, US is a NATO state. That makes sense. All right. I didn't even thought of that. So if you attack USA, technically NATO can attack you. Is that it?
Groups of militants outside of Iran, though funded and equipped by the regime, that can launch attacks while granting Iran's regime plausible deniability. The most likely attack vector would be through the IRGC's Quds Force, which the Council on Foreign Relations describes as an expeditionary arm that partners with Iran's various regional militant groups. It's the Quds Force that coordinates with the likes of Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah, directing arms to the groups and delivering instructions from the supreme leader covering what Iran wants those groups to do. The Quds Force is no small group.
Navy SEALs should tremble on their place. Highly trained people.
Specializing in spy work and subterfuge, the group has about 15,000 members. And it has a long history of managing assassinations on behalf of Iran's regime. When Iran exploded into protest toward the end of 2025 and into early 26, it was the Quds Force that oversaw the assassinations of several key protesters to cause chaos in the ranks, reports Iran International. The Quds Force also oversaw a 2011 plot to kill Saudi ambassador to the US, Adel al-Jubair, with the goal being to use a Mexican drug cartel to carry out the assassination. Whenever Iran wants to create disruption, the fingerprints of the Quds Force are often found. And with decades of experience, it seems likely that the force was trying to activate militants in Turkey or a nearby country to organize a strike against Air Force One. Knowing the scale of the threat, the Secret Service made the call to switch jets, and here's why. The Qatari jet that is now being used as Air Force One lacks many of the defensive countermeasures that are installed on the previous version. The New York Times revealed that in a July 9th piece, where it stated that several officials told the outlet that the Qatari jet doesn't have the same anti-missile capabilities as the...
Is that the jet? Isn't that smaller one? Look at where the engine is. No way that's the one.
older Air Force One. Questions were being raised in 2025 about the...
This is Qatari one. Wait a minute. That is not the jet. I'm like, what the hell? This is a small one. They gave him 747-8, the luxury variant, but it's 747. 2 jets per side on the wings, not this. It's much bigger than this.
work being undertaken on the Qatari jet, and whether that work would be enough to provide the required security. White House Communications Director Stephen Chung was asked about those measures following Trump's jet switch. He responded, "The new Air Force One is a state-of-the-art aircraft that has been fitted with high-level security protocols that ensure the safety of the president and his staff. As the president has said recently, there are many enemies of America who have their sights on him, and we use every tool at our disposal to address those threats." That statement doesn't reveal a whole lot, but the security protocols in place are clearly not at the level they need to be to protect the president's life. Contrast this with the older version of Air Force One. We know for sure that this older jet has an array of countermeasures designed to repel the sort of aerial attack that Iran and its proxies were likely planning. Many of those countermeasures are classified for obvious reasons. However, we do know that the older Air Force One incorporates electronic warfare suites for missile diversion, anti-surface-to-air missile tech, and is even able to handle the triggering of an electromagnetic pulse while in the air. Simple flying adds that the jet has infrared countermeasures used for missile redirection, including several AN/ALQ-204 Matador jammers. Add to that the ability to hold up to 2,000 meals in its galleys and aerial refueling capabilities, and you have a jet built to stay in the sky for the long haul while defending itself against threats. In
Aerial refueling a 747. That's a sight, isn't it?
serious cases, the US also deploys fighter jets to flank Air Force One, though it seems unlikely they were deployed in Ankara. With all of this in mind, it's obvious
F-35, F-22 flying around Air Force One is like, what the...
why the Secret Service chose to have Trump switch his jets. But it's what came next that's more shocking. The timing of this assassination attempt is key, and you're going to learn why in a moment. First, this is a reminder that you're watching The Military Show. We bring you the full picture, not just the headlines, so hit subscribe and enable notifications if you want to stay ahead of the curve. Let's come back to the Ankara summit. That meeting was held between July 7th and 8th. Do you remember what else happened on those dates? The US started a new round of airstrikes in Iran. Though Trump claimed that this round of strikes started as revenge for Iran's bombing of merchant vessels in the Strait of Hormuz, the timeline seems to match almost perfectly. July 8th marked the second day of what will become almost a full 2 weeks of strikes against Iran. That second day of strikes was also the second day of the Ankara summit, and it's likely that Trump would have received word of the threat posed to his life by that point. On July 8th alone,
Technically, he started bombing before that, so it is because of the merchant ship. You can't really say because of the threat he did that. And he stopped now, so why would he stop? I don't think Trump has a revenge mentality right now, which is good, I think. If you're the top leader on the planet, not just one country, it's the country. Usually it's the title, the most powerful man on the planet. It's good that you don't have a revenge mentality, otherwise, yeah.
the US launched missiles and bombs at Iran's port city of Bandar Abbas, which is home to an Iranian naval base, as well as at the southern coastal city of Sirik and the Bushehr province, which is home to Iran's major nuclear power plant complex. This was revenge, just as Trump said, but perhaps not for what was happening in the Strait of Hormuz. Trump may have taken the threat to his life personally, as well as considering it an attempt by Iran to restart a conflict that had been subject to a shaky ceasefire for several months. Proxies be damned. The US knows that Iran is behind these groups, met the assassination attempt with fire from the skies, teaching Iran a crucial lesson about poking the bear. Just don't do it, Iran. Even a hint that you want to assassinate Trump is enough to spark a firestorm across the entire country. The 13th...
Again, I don't know about that. He started attacking before the threat, and it was because of the Saudi and certain cargo ships were hit, 3-4 of them at once. That's what the last straw was, right? That's what broke the camel's back. Trump this Trump said this is revenge, but revenge for like commercial trip. He didn't say like there's many time like people point blank threatened him and the plot right now. If that was the case, he wouldn't have like paused right now. He would just keep going. So he doesn't have personal revenge mentality.
15 days of strikes that followed Iran's assassination attempt have now ended, sort of. July 26th marked the third day of a loose ceasefire that is now in place to allow the US and Iran to restart negotiations. This doesn't mean that the US is willing to forgive and forget. As Ambassador Mike Waltz said on July 26th, we'll see over the next coming days, but make no mistake, additional military assets are moving into the region. The regime should believe the president when he says they're locked and loaded, and where all options are on the table. In other words, 13 consecutive days of strikes in retaliation for Iran's assassination attempt amounted to a warning shot. The regime gets out of line or tries something to harm Trump again, the next round of strikes will be even more devastating. Still, there's a ceasefire in place for now. Spokesperson for Iran's health ministry, Hossein Kermanpour, even marked the first day of the ceasefire with a social media post where he said, "It seems our dear Iran had a peaceful night last night, and no part of its body was struck or hit. Iran's body is intact. Iran's head is healthy." Even Trump seems determined to get negotiations back on.
How is Iran's head healthy? US literally took out the head in the first day. You replace the head, but you can't really say Iran's head is healthy. Why am I saying this? This is not good way of thinking. If you keep thinking that, you'll keep fighting back. I've said this many times. You can't fight back with USA. Doesn't matter how much you think you're surviving. It's futile. This is like Thanos is inevitable. US is not gonna lose, man. Right? Unless US says like, okay, fine, this is too much. And you know what? I just want to do business. Like, where's my Microsoft at? Where's my next, micro? Nvidia is making a lot of money. Let's think about that and just walk away. Which is they're not going to do because let's be honest, US military complex. They make money through military as well. So they even have economical incentive to still fight. US is not just going to back off. What do you think you're going to achieve? Look, man, I'm a neutral guy. Even though I sound like a pro-American, I'm not pro-American. If I see a UFC fighter fighting a kid from the street, like an 18-year-old kid who's never fought anything, and if I say like that's a UFC heavyweight champion, he's gonna beat his ass, doesn't mean I'm a pro that guy. I'm just being sensible. I'm not pro anything, but this is stupid. No country can fight back against USA, let alone Iran. You're just hurting yourself, man. Make a deal or do something, right? That end this war. Just like trying to delete Trump, that's just going to make it a million times worse, man. All right, there wasn't much about the, I checked the next 5 minutes. There wasn't much about the Trump thing. It's just like, what will happen next? It's like, that's a guesswork right now. We don't know what's going to happen next. But there you go. Iran tried to assassinate not just Trump, Melania and his kid as well. Look, if they delete Trump, that unites the country. Entire USA is get angry, right? But if you delete the kid and wife, that pisses off Trump. That's a revenge element. Mother of all bomb. Have you heard about that? It's what? It's like explosion diameter is what? Like a mile or something? Do you understand what mile is? Visualize the mile. That's his explosion radius. What are you, high? Do you know how many Moabs they're going to throw at you? You think they're going to care about casualties after that? Right now they're thinking about casualties. Let's not touch civilians. After this, if this happens, they'll just drop leaflets. Dear civilians of Iran, run away to the mountains, we're going to throw bombs. They did that in World War II, in Japan. There is a precedence for it, right? I don't know, man. Somebody in the IRGC have to think about like, let's calm down. Let's think about what will win the war or walk away intact from the war and not poke the bear. All right, well, there you go. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you next time.